Okay, in this video I'm gonna show a little VR project that I'm working on. So right now I'm just gonna recenter my camera. What I like to do is I just point the gun at the Guardian grid in the center and click the reset. So that'll set my arrows, and like that's obviously my forward pointing arrow, and it puts me in the center of this thing. So I know exactly where I am if I end up turning around and doing different things. Um, so the goal of this, or the main goal of this, is to get a decent control system. Um, in a typical first-person shooter, you've got your mouse and your keyboard, and you use your mouse for everything, the way you look around and all that. Um, so in VR, it's obviously a bit different. You would tend to think that you want to use your head to look around and go into that direction and stuff like that. But I found that it's nice to be able to move forward while looking, in some other direction. Uh, you know, the preference on that might vary, um, but I find that I prefer doing that. So basically, my movement system needs to be completely detached from my head. Um, and all you really have to work with is like a joystick and stuff like that. So you can't do like what I like to do even in VR, is be able to look around really quickly, turn around really quickly, and do all that like you can with a mouse. um, of course, the idea of it, the teleporting system, is not my favorite thing. I like to be able to walk around in VR. I've been playing a lot of Doom 3 lately. Some guy made a mod, or I guess almost like a hack, or I guess a mod for it that enables you to play completely with motion controllers and everything, and that's really cool. That's much better than teleporting around and doing all that kind of stuff. Um, so there's things I like about how that's set up and things I don't like about how that's set up. So anyway, so my system is, so you walk forward and backward on the joystick, and you can turn left and right on the joystick, and that's all pretty standard. I create a little bit of a dead zone for the turning, because I want to be able to walk 100% straight forward without, like, when you push forward on the joystick, you tend to push a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right sometimes, and you get that unintentional turning, and I don't want that. So I do create a bit of a dead zone, so you have to move it a little bit before you actually get to turn. So you can actually get a perfect straight forward and backward motion. It's much more predictable, and in VR, that's what you want. When you play just on a screen, that little bit of inaccuracy is actually acceptable. It doesn't affect you in any way. But in VR, you want to be 100% predictable where you're moving and when you're moving. Um, so for strafing, I have that on the tilt. So um, I can move forward, and while I'm moving forward, I can tilt my controller and I can strafe. And when I'm not moving, it doesn't do anything. So that kind of solves strafing, and that actually works pretty well. It takes you a little bit of getting used to, but it's natural. Like, you tilt your hand and you kind of move towards that direction. The only catch is you need to remember that it's like that. So if you just hold your gun off to the side and you start walking, you're going to strafe. um, so the other thing you might want to be able to do is strafe while not moving. So for that, I use the grip button. So when I'm holding down the grip button and I tilt, I can strafe, right? And so that kind of does strafing, and it works pretty well. Now, on top of the joystick turning, which generally it's okay when you're just kind of, I guess, walking around, or I don't know, like, it's not too bad, but I also wanted a way to quickly turn in any direction. So I actually use one of the face buttons for a quick turn 180. So when I'm so that's just 180 degrees quick turn. So that's, you know, a very specific one. And then I also have this, so you see that dot appearing. So now I can use my controller to turn. So I can just hold down the grip, and now instead of tilting it for strafe, I can point it and turn. So I can move, and I want to move that way, so I can just point and turn, and it's an instant thing. So, you know, with the joystick, you know, some people might be affected way more than others with the motion of turning with a joystick, and this kind of solves the two things where you don't have any motion in turning and you can quickly turn. And this is more for your like forward view. So if you want to, like, if you're moving towards this wall and you want to go towards that door, you can see the door, so you just point on it and you can walk towards the door, and then you can, you know, correct with strafing and so on. And then of course you have the quick 180. So if you want to turn around, you don't have to go and do this with the joystick or like click multiple times with this. You just turn. So that covers basically all the angles for movement, and it actually works pretty well. It takes a little bit of getting used to what you have to do with your fingers to you know, so it becomes second nature. Like playing with two joysticks is second nature to most people, and playing with mouse and keyboard as well is second nature to most people. But you know, trying to come up with a new control scheme for something new like virtual reality, you know, take just a little bit of getting used to get that into, you know, like second nature. um, okay, so I'm gonna put some enemies in quick. Okay, so I'm just gonna properly center. So I have on the joystick, pushing the joystick in will center the camera, and yeah, so at any point if you wanted to center the camera you can do that. So you can get some guys. So I almost messed myself up there by turning too much. So it's like anything, it takes a little bit of practice, right? So actually playing and fighting enemies, you know, is different from just simply moving around. You know, your fingers might get a little mixed up with what you should do, what you should be doing at that point, or whatever. But yeah, so obviously these guys are pretty slow, and I feel like in virtual reality games, you know, unless you have a specific, like you're in a specific area and whatever, you know, if you're in an open area, you know, I don't know, having really fast enemies, don't know if it's a good thing. You know, I still need to get to that point where I'm testing, like, how does it feel? Like, you can't run around like in Quake 1, right? It's not gonna work unless you play with a mouse and keyboard, which, you know, works just fine in virtual reality. I play Quake 1 in VR all the time. But the point of this is to get the motion controller in there, and you know, because that's actually much more fun, you know, being able to shoot for real with, with basically a real weapon, I guess. So yeah, so that's pretty much what I wanted to show in this video, and yeah, that's it.